Chelsea for me is on the verge of making a big mistake. They fired Tuchel instead of actually trusting the process. The new American guy came in, he got Harry Potter in there, and clearly it's not working.
Did you just say Harry Potter?
Yeah, he's got
Yo,
Harry
hey,
Potter in
at
that
least
club,
Harry
and it's
Potter
just
can do
not
magic.
working.
I don't know what Graham Potter
I know.
does.
Exactly. I'm just
At least,
like,
yeah, you're
it's
right,
not
Harry.
working. This club is not doing well, and you can see it as a long shot. I mean, if I were to look at all the managers that are available on the market right now, I would pray they look at something else because I just don't see anything evolving. I see him having more rings under his eyes every game. It feels like it was clearly a step too far that he was not ready to take or was never meant to take. No offense to the manager, I'm sure he's a great guy, but I don't think he was the right guy. And I think the American owner took a massive decision that just didn't play out.
But nobody is happier about what's happening in England than the Gunners. We have waited and waited and waited, trusting the processes, and finally vindication for the hopefully future coaching legend Mikel Arteta. And the funny thing, the last time Arsenal won the league, Arsenal won the league. Yeah, it was Arteta was on the team, and so it's almost like full circle, right? It finally tying the past to the with the future. Um, Phenomenal game, phenomenal game. Arsenal came out as they always have, and that's one thing I was concerned about with the World Cup, is that they're going to lose
Momentum.
that drive in every game, come out firing. That you see tire legs like we were seeing before the World Cup, and like some teams were seeing in Real Madrid. And so, I definitely I was very impressed. I can't believe that Conte didn't have a plan for Saka. Sessegnon, he was nowhere near
Yeah.
able to handle Saka. I mean, the left side wasn't even as dangerous as it could have been, and maybe that is fatigue for Martinelli. But at the same time, I think Conte got it all wrong. He got the first half wrong, he got the second half wrong. And he wasn't done any favors by the goalkeeper who's made more mistakes, who hasn't made. There's nobody else who's made more mistakes as goalkeeper in the EPL than Hugo Lloris. This is what he does. Even in the World Cup final 8 years ago in Russia, where France was up 3-1, and
Oh, nothing. Yeah.
3-0, and then he made that mistake, and then it was 3-1. And if we didn't score that last goal, it would not have ended 4-1. It could have been worse. And this is the thing, right? Like, how could you make such a mistake? I don't even understand it. Like they always say you have to have a strong wrist. He was right here. What was he scared of the ball? Did he see a bird fly by? Like, I don't understand what it could have been that made him, mess up as bad as he did in that second goal. But take nothing away from Arsenal. I mean, boss the front, boss the midfield, pressed up. And I'm interested to see what United does on the weekend, because the same tactics against City won't work, right? And you have midfield bosses, two of them in Saka and Partey, versus United, who only have Casemiro. And so maybe Casemiro's
Saka,
hands might be too
Partey,
full.
Odegaard, man.
Well,
Odegaard.
Odegaard is not a boss in the back midfield. I'm talking about
Oh, you're talking
in the
about.
back
Oh, okay.
midfield, the ability to one Casemiro wins something on your back in your back line, your final third, coming back the other way, we can also win it as well. And the question is there going to be a back and forth? Is Ten Hag going to play a counterattack only? Let's see. I am very interested to see how that goes. But I mean, I can't give any more praise to what Mikel Arteta is doing out there, how the boys are playing, and let's not forget Ramsdale. What a revelation! Ramsdale has not. We need to give that guy his flowers, because he not only, there were some times, and that back line has some issues. I will admit that, but he kept Arsenal not only in the game, but in the top of the game. And the biggest thing that I will say that Arsenal did, which if they can do it to Kane, they can do it to Rashford is they locked him down. He had to come all the way into the back, into his own box in order to be able to have an ability to touch the ball. And he even almost made an error as part of it. So it's interesting. The weekend game is going to be very interesting. I'm excited. I'm stoked. I'm using old school words. That's how excited I am. Stoked.
This is officially. Because you know how we've been. This is the first game, United Arsenal game. That's not going to be just a Twitter derby. It's going to be more than that. You know. We're going to take it back old school. We're taking this back old school. It's not
you guys are our only L. You guys are our only L this season, right?
Yeah.
You beat us in October or something.
Yep. And we're trying to do the repeat of that.
Okay, well, let's see. Is it in the theater is it in Theater of Dreams?
Actually, I want to say no. I think we're away because I think you guys came.
No, you guys are home. Oh no, we're home. Oh, ooh, this might get.
Wait, who's home?
Arsenal. It's an Emirates Stadium.
Oh, Arsenal's home. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's gonna be a rough one.
It's gonna be tough. I think you guys are gonna come out counterattacking.
Yeah, I think we're probably gonna use the same team because I think Fred's engine in the midfield is definitely gonna be needed, and then we're gonna need obviously Casemiro's gonna be there. We've got the.
But don't you play tomorrow? Don't you play tomorrow as well? I think
we're playing Crystal. But I think Crystal Palace is the game I'm actually more nervous for.
Yeah, I think you guys might take an L. I think you guys can drop points tomorrow, and you guys can have some tired legs because Arsenal just likes to press, and we have a full week break, so it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough weekend.
Interesting to see that, yeah. But just for that game, definitely. I think Arsenal won that game. I think by the first half, that game was over. I didn't watch the second half as much because 2 goals down, I was like, Tottenham didn't really have much of a response. It looks like Son is still trying to kick into gear. Yeah. Conte seems like he's becoming a Mourinho 2.0. Because it's very interesting because usually, last season we thought, okay, Tottenham is, we're seeing something from Tottenham, and the moment I'm not sure what's going on there. If it's just if it's a coaching thing, if it's a player thing, or I really don't know what's going on with Tottenham. But it doesn't look like Kane is going to be winning anything with Tottenham anytime soon at this rate. And there's rumors of him signing a new contract. I don't know how many contracts how many extensions that he can possibly get in one career. But honestly, it's. Yeah.
How don't you get tired? You don't win with England. You don't win with Tottenham. He should go to Bayern. Last point here. That's the team. He's not going to go to a team in the EPL because he's not going to go to Arsenal. Man United, you guys got your Weghorst. Chelsea, I can't see him going to Chelsea. And then not to mention that City and Liverpool are flying. He's not going to go to Barcelona or Real Madrid. His only option at this point is to go to Bayern if he wants to, and I think he can actually do some. He can win something there the way Lewandowski did. Sorry, Yves, go ahead, man.
No, I totally agree. I don't know why I keep reading that the rumor is that Kane wants to go to Manchester United, which that's a bit scary to me. I totally agree with you on the Bayern aspect. I think he would do really, really well at Bayern. And Bayern is a team that has a winning DNA. So to me, it's a logical destination for a last stunt. I don't get if he extends it with Spurs. I mean, he can really kiss goodbye to any trophy ever winning. I mean, he'll be the Van Persie of Arsenal. Like Van Persie left to win titles, and it just didn't happen as much as we all wanted it to happen. But I don't think Kane should extend. I definitely think that the town is red in London and Manchester. I think Manchester United have a good chance of being in the top 4. I think Arsenal will probably win the league. I think they're on I don't see as much negativity in terms of the rotation. I definitely see rotation as a problem, but so far they've responded really well. And if they go even further and advance their point this upcoming game, I mean, to me, it's almost as though title favorites right now. They're doing the right thing. And I also think that Ukrainian player wanted out of that club, so I think maybe he took the first club possible to leave that.
You place. Mean Mudryk?
Yeah, I think Mudryk probably wanted to leave that club for a while now. So
I just hate how he did it. I don't know why I don't know why he would go to Chelsea.
I think he wanted out. I think I can't judge a kid like that.
Arsenal said 95 million. He should have just been like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't want to go anywhere else.
I think Arsenal didn't go the full way. I think they wanted their way, which is we're not going in a bidding war. We're taking our
Yeah.
time. We offered this. We won't go further. And Chelsea swayed him in a way that they made the effort. They traveled to him. They probably put a cherry on top, and he was like, "Yep, the
Yeah.
club wants me more, and that's it." And he's gonna realize it because Chelsea is I mean, Chelsea for me is on the verge of making a big mistake. They fired Tuchel instead of actually trusting the process. The new American guy came in, he got Harry Potter in there, and clearly it's not working.
Did you just say Harry Potter?
Yeah, he's got
No,
Harry
hey,
Potter in that
at least
club,
Harry
and it's
Potter
just
can do
not
magic.
working.
I don't know what Graham Potter
I
does.
know.
Exactly. I'm just
At least,
like,
yeah,
it's
you're right.
not working.
Harry can do some magic, man. Like, there's
Like
no
I don't
magic
understand.
wand
There's
that's
no
getting
trusting the
Chelsea out of that
process. Like
position
this,
right
this
now.
this club is not doing well, and you can see it as a long shot. I mean, if I were to look at all the managers that are available on the market right now, I would pray they look at something else because I just don't see anything evolving. I see him having more rings under his eyes every game. It feels like it was clearly a step too far that he was not ready to take or was never meant to take. No offense to the manager, I'm sure he's a great guy, but I don't think he was the right guy. And I think the American owner took a massive decision that just didn't play out. And with Felix, it's not going to plug and play. And with Mudryk, it's not going to come plug and play as well. I think Mudryk wanted out. Arsenal should have been the club he gone to. He wanted out. We respected Ukrainian and all that. It's not easy under any influence. I mean, the fact that Arsenal even made an offer, the first thing he puts on Instagram is praying hands. So clearly he wanted out. There's no other way. So I can't judge a guy like that in the current situation. But if I look at Arsenal and I was listening to you guys, I don't see a downfall as much as Arsenal because I feel like they've finally gone from baby gunners to leading gunners. I think now they found the winning formula. And I see it. Every time I'm watching the game, I'm like, all right, this could be it. We're back to reality. We're going to get smacked in the face. Boom. And they prove me wrong. And I'm like, okay, it just smells victory all the way.
Yeah,
I think
it's like,
City
sure. I was
is.
just going to quickly add, it's
Go
like
ahead. Go ahead.
everything that we've said that will halt Arsenal's progress has happened. Well, so far, we've had a few injuries. Jesus, we thought, okay, Arsenal was one Jesus injury away from collapsing. Well, they've done just fine without him. So
Correct. And
yeah,
and to me that means the winning recipe is there. And if the winning recipes is there, and on top of that, it's like the playoffs. You're supposed to get hot during the December period to prove that you're better than the others. That's when you turn on during the playoffs. For me, the Prem playoffs are basically everything from Boxing Day to early January. That's when you distance yourself from the great other clubs because the other clubs are having a high turnover. It's a peak season. You have to play more games than usual. This is when you turn on, and they did. And Arsenal are proving they're there, and they're proving it's their year. I would say it's going to be very interesting if Arsenal win with that squad versus City that just bought Haaland, which we always said, oh, it's that missing striker, it's that missing piece. He has a missing piece. There's no excuse. And for Pep not to be there and to come out and say, "Oh, we lost the league already," I know it's mind games, but I think that it's poor professionalism. Like with the
yeah,
caliber of that squad, you go in and you say, "We'll be back." I'm not even worried about it. The fact that you're saying it openly, I wonder what you're saying behind closed doors. It worries me a bit. Manchester United
yeah,
are knocking on the door. They're tired of the city being blue. Now it's red. And again, City with the squad they have, they shouldn't be losing to Ten Hag. It's not supposed to happen, and they are. And I think it's very alarming that the clubs that were at the top for a while are just not finding rhythm. And now all these new clubs that are coming out are new. I want to say new talented clubs that have been like
the
outside of the top
sleeping
four for a
giants.
while. Yeah,
Yeah,
sleeping
sleeping
giants
giants.
outside of the top four for a while are now back in firm hand. When I see Arsenal and Manchester United, I mean, I have to say this: I wouldn't want to be facing Arsenal right now, and I sure as hell wouldn't want to be facing any other club in the Prem, but Arsenal are threatening ones. I think Manchester United, to Jeff's point, we'll see. It's rotation. It could hurt them. It could be. It could be the pre-Arsenal
You
phase,
said
but
you wouldn't want to
Arsenal's
face
firmly in
anybody
there.
in the Prem right now. You mean in the top four? Because I am looking
Yeah,
forward to
like
facing Liverpool, and I would gladly face Tottenham.
no. What I mean by that is I would not want to face Arsenal and probably anyone in the top three, probably right
Yeah.
now, which is
top
happening.
four. You got to include Man
Yeah.
United. You
I gotta
keep
include Man
forgetting about
United.
Newcastle, man.
So I was going to say, man, we're
Newcastle has
overlooking
been
Newcastle.
amazing.
I think
Newcastle has been amazing. I
the
can't say anything. I
Newcastle
mean,
Arsenal game for me, that was the game of the season so far.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
I think
amazing.
that was
All
the
right,
game.
that was the other one we dropped points. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the game. But that was to your point, Eve. Remember I said it. I think it was 5 weeks, the first month of the season. I posed the question: who would be a bigger impact signing, Gabriel Jesus for Arsenal or Haaland for City? And we had talked about if City won the Champions League versus Arsenal, and we're beginning to see that, with or without Haaland, look at where City is, right? Arsenal seems to be doing a lot. Arsenal is doing really well, and I think Jesus, that signing, even though he's injured right now, but I think that signing so far is having a bigger impact on the team. And the other thing I wanted to say too is, if you're going to win the league, yes, you need to be consistent, you need to be strong, but you also need luck to go your way, and we're seeing that with City because Arsenal can win all their games, but if City is winning all their games, then it's just a matter of to the last day of the season. But the fact that City keeps dropping points against the small dogs, that's a lot of I said that's optimism for Arsenal fans, right? Because that's what you need. You need a combination of your skill and your work ethic, but you also need results to go. Other teams' results to go your way as well.
Let me dive into that, into answering that first. I honestly, City's problem is they have been winning for 8 years now, uncontested. Every game they are the favorites. Liverpool had it for 2 years, maybe 3, where every game they were favorites except for maybe against City it was even. City's problem is they don't know how to deal with struggles. They don't know how to deal with, it's not pressure. They don't know how to deal with, oh my goodness, we're being outplayed. They can't shift into that next gear because also they're all aged as well. And the mileage that has been put on them, the way Pep runs KDB and Bernardo and Rodri so hard, right? That's another role. They don't have a backup six for Rodri, right? So that they don't know how to deal with that. Case in point, Real Madrid in the Champions League final, they had it in the bag. They literally just needed to defend. Chelsea, Champions League final. When they are outplayed for 45 minutes, they struggle. And we've seen that all season. And KDB is not going to be the same KDB next year. Even he said it in the World Cup. He said, Belgium, we're old. We are old. Not just we have old players. We are old. And he's accepted it. Who's the backup to KDB? Who's going to be supplying Haaland in 2 years? Right? And if I'm a City fan, I'm more concerned about what happens next. Because you're going to go through a transition that Liverpool is going through where you don't have backup midfield players. Rodri might be like, I'm looking for a new challenge. I've dominated England. I'm looking for a new challenge. I want to win Champions League. If they don't win it this year, and even if they do win it this year, I think that's a problem with City. The problem isn't Haaland. Haaland, for me, by far, is the best signing in EPL last season. The problem, and when you compare him against Jesus, is that Jesus was the final piece. Haaland wasn't the final piece. Haaland was the going from Superman to Thanos. If you know it, right? If you
But
know,
wasn't that
if
what
you're
we
a geek
said
like
though?
me.
That he's the guy that they need to win the Champions League. Like
No,
City just
no.
needs that striker to complete
De
everything.
Bruyne 2 years ago is who they need to win the Champions League. That's who they
But
need.
they had KDB 2 years ago.
But you know what they didn't have 2 years ago? They didn't have their fullbacks firing the way they've been firing the last 2 years, right? Right?
Mm.
People forget there's a time shift that's happened with City, right? And the fact of the matter is, they should have went and got Haaland when he was going to Dortmund. They guaranteed they would have won the one Champions League, maybe even two. But now it's probably a year too late. Maybe not. Maybe it's just the last of the years that I would say is it's before it's too late. But City, let's be very honest, City would have still made it to the Champions League semifinals at the latest this year. Because who's competing? Barcelona
Yeah,
is
they
in
still
Europa.
can. Like
Real
we're just
Madrid is almost biting the dust. Who I don't know who the favorite is to win Champions League right now, other than City. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Right? So did they need
Well,
Haaland?
City's always going to be favorites, right? They're always going to be favorites, but the way they're playing right now, I don't know. And that's going to be a hard one because, like, I know,
But
yes, we talk
they're
about
not
the likes
playing
of Real
bad.
Madrid, but Champions League is a whole different machine, right? Like,
Do you honestly
when the
think
likes of
City's playing
Atletico
bad though?
Madrid gets up for Champions League.
Do you
Sorry?
honestly think City's playing bad?
I think they are. I think
Nah,
they just
City's not
mass.
playing
Yeah, they
bad.
are. Even when
Nah, City's not playing
they
bad.
beat Chelsea, I said it. I think I was on the other podcast last week, before the United game. I was on the Footy Fantasy podcast channel, and I said it, guys. We're all pointing fingers at Liverpool, but City's not playing that well. City is just
No.
masking it with Haaland. Like
Mm.
I think people, it's being masked. City's not playing that well. They struggle against. They've been dropping points against the smaller teams. Yes, they beat the big teams because the big teams, there's just more to lose when you play a big team versus a small team. They don't have as much to lose, so yeah, they're gonna go out there and give their all.
I mean, hold
City,
on,
there's been
Let's
cracks
just
in
put this in
City's game.
perspective,
There's
though.
been
They
cracks in
haven't.
City's game.
Let's put it in perspective, though. Let's qualify what you're saying. They haven't played Arsenal yet, right? Because they that game was postponed, and I don't even know when it's been rescheduled to. That's one big team. The other
Yeah,
big team, United, when they played United, they weren't a big team at that time. So I don't agree. Tottenham is not a
they
big
beat
team.
us though. They beat
Chelsea,
us in the first
I
leg.
know, but I'm saying at that time when they beat you, you guys weren't a big team. You were just a big club. Tottenham
Yeah,
is
that's
not a
fair.
big
Yeah.
team, right? Right? No, Tottenham's not a big team.
Well,
Chelsea, not a big team. They're a big
no,
club.
but no, you can't say
Come
that because at the
on. I'm
time they
talking
played
about the
Chelsea, they
way
were a
I'm
big
talking about
team.
form. I'm talking about form because you're trying to say that the form they play the best game. They play their best when they play up against teams that are in good who are in top form. The only
No,
team
but I
that
see
they
what you're
played in
saying.
top
But like,
form is
but the way
Newcastle,
we
my
talk
friend.
about, but there's no way. But we can't always use form for big teams, right? A big team is a big team. Like everybody knows,
So then
even the
define a
worst
big team.
United
You mean a
team
big club?
has to stand. You have to get up for those games, right? Those are the traditional games. Look at
In
the
terms of
players that these teams
broadcast, but not
have,
in terms of play on the field. In terms of
but
broadcast,
that we'll never know, right? We never like. I think the form thing, just like how like our Manchester United right now, right? Like we're on form. We could lose tomorrow to Crystal Palace,
yeah, you
right?
could.
Doesn't mean that we're not on form. I what I'm trying to say is these
It
teams,
depends
they
how you
have a
play.
certain caliber of players, the coaches that they have. Like, yes, they might not be on form on paper or like on the pitch, but on paper, that's a big game. That's a big
Okay,
game on paper.
we're gonna agree to disagree on the
Yeah.
classification here, but I want to point out the one thing is that the Chelsea match that was Pep messing up because Pep got it wrong. He didn't have Cancelo's out of form, and for some reason he changed the midfield. Right?
And he put
He wasn't.
Cancelo in. He put
But he
Sorry,
Cancelo
still
in
won
too.
the game though against
he won the
Chelsea.
game after he brought on all these like 17-year-olds into the
Yeah.
midfield in order to energize them because, like I said, KDB's old, Rodri's getting old. Right?
But
Like
KDB
Cancelo.
had a shit World Cup as well. I also think that didn't play a favor to him.
I don't. Again, the point I'm trying to make with City is they didn't. Haaland was the best signing because Haaland is the best striker right now. I'm as a Real Madrid fan, Benzema
I
had
don't
the
know,
best
man.
year,
You think he's
but
better
right
than
now the
Mbappe?
best striker in the world is Erling Haaland.
Over
But
Mbappe?
Arsenal, Mbappe's not a striker. Stop. He's a forward. I know why people keep mixing the two up. He's
I
striker
don't know,
versus
man.
forward. Number 9 versus a 7 or 11 or 19. Like, no. I'm talking about striker. Lewandowski,
Okay.
Benzema, I'll go through them.
Yeah.
Even Nunez I wouldn't even consider a striker, but sure. Like Suarez, like that's what I'm saying. Those are
Okay, like
strikers.
a classic number 9.
Yes.
Okay.
But Jesus was the best. Jesus fit the best. Like he was needed. Jesus was needed more for Arsenal than Haaland. Is the point I'm trying to make. That's the distinction I'm trying to separate.
But then
That's
that's
the
not
question
the
you
best
asked.
signing then.
Hmm?
Like to me, buying. Okay, let's say you were signing the best player in the world. That's not straight.
Well,
the
then
best
Casemiro
signing.
was the best signing. Then I don't think Haaland was the best signing. The best signing
Yeah,
last summer
because I think the best
is not
signing is their
Haaland
impact on
or
the team.
Jesus, man.
That's what I'm
By
saying.
your
The
classification.
best signing is the what's it called? The best signing is based on the impact to the team.
Okay, then it's
What I'm trying to say
Jesus.
is, even what Haaland is doing right now, that everyone is getting all gassed up and wet for, is like Sterling and Jesus scored those goals last season, right? And everyone's just saying, "Oh, we need a striker, we need a striker, we need a striker." This is what I'm trying to say is the goals that he's scoring, they have Sterling and what's his name, Jesus scoring those goals.
Yeah, because they have
So
the
to me,
same
what he's
person.
doing is not that special. Yeah,
Oh,
it is
they have the
special.
same
Obviously,
person
like I
providing
can't do it
Josh.
personally,
Hold on.
but
Josh, are you saying the best signing is still Jesus, right?
as of now, it's looking
As
like
of now.
as of now.
So you think
He's-
Jesus has had more impact on Arsenal than Haaland on City?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, all right. It's a fair
Yeah.
assumption.
I would
I
agree.
think the fact I would agree as to Jeff's point. I would agree the fact that he's done more for Arsenal, but the guy's been absent and Arsenal's been rolling on. I haven't. If you take Haaland now off on the team, I don't know if City would be rolling on. I think they've adjusted to Haaland now, so I think maybe, in my view,
Well,
the best
okay.
striker, a real 9, is
You think
hands down
Alvarez
right
can't
now.
come in? You think Alvarez can't come in and score the goals?
I think you can.
Not on Derby days. No,
Oh, okay.
I think on week
What did Haaland do on
on
Derby days?
no.
Actually, if anything, Alvarez is the player that will do better on Derby days because he's less of a threat, right?
Maybe,
now
but
versus-
I
you
haven't
need
seen it.
Haaland, you
I
need
haven't
3
seen it
players
from
to
him.
defend
I've
him
seen
versus
odd games.
Alvarez might do better because there's less pressure on Alvarez.
I agree. It could be, but
Yeah.
I still stand by what I said. I think now City has gotten used to Haaland, and I think as a real striker, the best striker in the world is probably Haaland and Benzema. I mean, Benzema is a center forward, but I still consider him as a true striker. If I look
Yeah.
at outside of that, the best player in the world right now is Mbappe.
Whoa.
So,
Lewandowski, top 5 right now.
Okay, but I
How
think
you
this
not
is
putting
where-
Lewandowski in the top 3 or 5 strikers in the world? Really?
Okay, but I
Lewandowski.
think this is where you
I
guys are
love
getting me
Lewandowski.
confused.
I love Lewandowski as a top 9,
Yo,
as
before
a
you
real
get come
9.
here, Eves, after
What?
you say this, I want you to tell me who the top 5 strikers in the world are right now, according to
Top
you.
5? Top 5? All
If you
right,
can get to 5, just name them in no particular order. Just name them.
striker. All right, striker would be for me purely on the year. I mean, top forwards, I would
Year
say
over
would
year,
be
year over year, January
over year.
2022 to January 2023. Who's the best
All right.
striker in the world?
I
Strikers in
would.
the world.
I'll go one step further. I won't say strikers, but I'll say forward. When I mean forward, I mean center forward,
Both forward,
striker,
Oh, okay.
and false
Okay,
9.
fine.
All right. You look at that. I say Mbappe, Haaland, Benzema, and probably Messi. That's the top 5.
Ooh, you're putting Haaland over Benzema?
That's only 4, by the way. You got one more.
Yeah, I know. But I mean,
Man, I
one
don't know,
more.
man.
One
Haaland,
more.
I don't know what it is. Maybe I need to watch Haaland again. But this guy, I don't know. I don't know.
Listen, you look at Haaland and you see all the records he's broken already for a guy in the Prem in his age. It's rare. Okay, then the 5th one outside of that would be Lewandowski. The problem with Lewandowski
but
is that last year, hands down, I still say Lewandowski should have won the Ballon d'Or in 2020, and 2021 based on his performance. But Benzema showed up, and that's what it is. I think
Okay, but I
Mbappe's
think you guys
weakness.
are arguing. Okay, the whole
Mbappe,
signing thing.
Mbappe's
Oh, sorry.
weakness.
Go
Hold on, let
ahead.
me finish. Mbappe's weakness is that he's in Ligue 1. You just take him out of Ligue 1, put him in the Prem, and he still performs like that. I'll put him as a top, hands down Ballon d'Or winner. Problem is the league. Haaland now being in the Prem gives him priority over any striker because it's the toughest league right now. It's just there's no other way to say it. So if I look at the best player in the league right now in the Prem League, I still think it's Haaland based on his performance. It used to be Salah, but I haven't seen Salah in a season and a half now. I don't know where he is. He's lost. Like I thought it was going to be Kane at one point, but it's clearly not. I can't even consider Kane a top five striker right now because every time he does perform, it feels like a flop. Like one game
Yeah.
yes, one game not. One game yes, one game. It's just like I can't do that anymore. So Benzema had the best year, but a terrible World Cup due to injuries. That's because he overworked his body. He went to the maximum, and I think the World Cup was at a bad time. I think Mbappe showed that he's one of the greats. It's just again, he's in a terrible league to be able to compete, to say the
Okay.
best.
Okay. I think, but this is where I believe you guys are getting my point confused. I think you guys are correlating the best player in the world to the best signing, but the best player in the world doesn't always make the best signing for a team. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not here arguing that Jesus is better than Haaland. I'm not saying that. Maybe Haaland could be the best striker in the world. Maybe he could be. But for the project, because everything's all based on the project, right? What is he doing for City versus what another signing is doing for their team? That's what I'm trying to explain. That's what I'm trying to get at. Because you're the best player in the world doesn't mean that you're the best signing. You know, like Neymar. I mean, Messi going to PSG at the time, probably the best player in the world. But look at how he struggled the first season. Would we have said that he was the best signing? No, we wouldn't say that. There's so many players that have been at the top level. You know, Coutinho, when he went to Barcelona, we could have said, oh, Coutinho was gonna, the best Ballon d'Or nominee. But he went to Barcelona. Look at what happened, right? So, from the way the point I'm trying to make is the best players don't always make the best signings. That's all I'm trying to say.
And you're 100% right. If you're 100% right. If I look at the best signings that had the most impact, it won't necessarily be everywhere. For me, for example, in Barcelona, it's Kunde had the best impact. For me, that was the best signing, the biggest impact on that team outside of Lewandowski. Lewandowski's been the missing striker that we needed, and he's the one getting us all the goals. But if I look at the team overall, it's still Kunde. It seems that the defense has stepped up so much that I can't fault anyone on it. And
Yeah.
if I look at Newcastle, I thought it was going to be Isak. Clearly not. I mean, Wilson is doing better. Leron is doing amazing. I mean, there's the best signing over there is Tripper. There's just no denying it. And look at Manchester United, it's going to be Casemiro. I would say probably Casemiro is the best signing outside of Haaland
Yeah.
and Jesus.
That's my point.
I think Jesus is what Arsenal needed to get fired up, and that's what gave them the engine. But now I see Arsenal taking off without the need of Jesus. I'm sure they're going to need him, but I would say now they're in full steam ahead that they don't need Jesus. And Haaland, I think, is
Hold
so needed.
on. But
So
that means
needed
that
for
means that
City.
you're saying that Nketiah can take on the load.
I'm not saying
that
Nketiah
Jesus
can
is
take.
left
I'm
behind.
saying that the team is so well oiled that it's not like they need or depend on Jesus because
They
they're a
depend
well-oiled
on a
machine
central
together.
point. No, man. They depend on a central point. They need that person to distract and pull away that the center backs. Jesus is not because of his goals, it's because of his ability to pull out to the wing. He does what Benzema does. And Nketiah has learned from that. And because Nketiah can also do that as he started out on the wing, that's why Arsenal are still able to continue. But it's going to get to a point where you're going to come up against smart defenders. Case in point, Manchester United on the weekend. And a case in point, Newcastle. And case in point, Manchester City, where you're going to struggle because it's easy to as a defender to play with Odegaard in front of you when you're not worrying about someone like Nketiah. Oh, maybe you'll get one goal, but your team is going to get more goals than you're going to concede. I honestly still believe the best signing is Casemiro.
But is
Because
Casemiro the
I
best
say this because
player?
if
But
you
Casemiro
move,
is not the best player in the EPL, right?
hold
Yeah,
on. I think we're confusing two things. Casemiro is the best signing because he has changed the team.
that would
And
be my
if you
whole
remove
point.
him, the team will collapse. Jesus, he hasn't changed the team. He's the final piece. If you remove him, as we are seeing, you'll be fine for a period. But Arsenal is not going to collapse by removing Jesus. City is not going to collapse by removing what's his
Haaland.
name, Holland. Also, they have Alvarez. I don't know why we keep to Josh's point. So I agree with all the points that you guys are all making about, the best signing isn't necessarily the best player in the world, and Mbappe's problem is that he plays in Farmers League. 100% agree with all that, but I think we keep taking we need to look at this holistically. That before the player came, how were they performing, and if you were to remove the player, and in the case of Arsenal, you have that clear example. What happens, and that's why I think if Arsenal had dropped points in every single game, or at least 4 out of their 5 games they played since the World Cup, then yes, we could say that. But they haven't. To Eve's point. But at the same time, I don't think City will collapse by removing Haaland. And City was fine last season without Haaland. In fact, they should have won the quadruple if it wasn't for the legend that is Kareem the Dream.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to
But you're
come back
right.
on.
Yeah.
I want to come back on Jeff's point. I'm not saying they'll collapse. I'm just saying they're now City is so used to Haaland, and everyone is so used to seeing Haaland play that I think that's why the energy of the squad is not the same. They added a guy, which was supposed to be an added piece, and it seems now the focal point of the team. I think Jesus, you're 100% right. Like it's a question of time before Arsenal need him again. He's clearly needed, and he will be that threatened player that you need. But the team is so well oiled that I think they don't need that striker day in, day out. I think they like Holland is needed day in, day out. Even if Alvarez comes along, you see it. Like the club isn't the same anymore.
So, Eve,
Cancelo's
are you
not playing
saying
well.
you're saying that Pep and City can't readjust if they were to lose Haaland?
I'm saying now I'm starting to see that Pep can't readjust because Pep with that team should have zero excuses. I mean, that team is stacked. It almost mimics the Bayern Munich
100%
era.
agree with you on that point.
It's
Pep should
it's
be doing
it's
better
stacked. He should
with
be
what he
doing
has.
better. Like with
Yeah.
Haaland, now I'm like you created a Golem basically. You created a problem for yourself. You wanted a striker. You got the striker. You were bitching and moaning about Aguero not being that guy or that guy. I love him, but you're gonna sell him anyways. Oh, you want that guy? You wanted a Messi. Well, you got a Messi. You got Haaland. And now here's your problem. You're losing more points than ever. Your team is more unfit than ever. And your defense, which cost the most in the entire world 2 seasons ago, is now depleting. So you're like, okay, what's going on? What is the problem? And if you look at that squad,
I'll tell you the problem. Sorry, go ahead. If you look at that,
no,
squad,
go ahead.
No, the problem for me, Pep and Klopp have made the same mistake. The midfield has not been revamped, or
Yeah.
they have not provided backups, and because they were over focusing on the forwards, right?
And the
Liverpool's
wings.
problem, Mane and Salah, they were bickering about contracts, they're bickering about dollar value. And hey, I think Liverpool did the smart thing, said, hey, we're not gonna pay an aging player and give him a 5-year contract so he can have a free retirement. We're not gonna do the same. And then they went and did with Salah, which I think was dumb. And that's why they're struggling now, because they don't have backup left. They don't have backup midfield players. I don't know why they thought Thiago was going to be. Thiago's old. Also, Thiago's like he's like half a leg he's running on these days.
Yeah, he's made of glass.
Henderson, they should have moved on 3-4 years ago. And I'm a big fan of Henderson, but again, you need to transition just like how Real Madrid is suffering right now, which we'll get to that. In the forward position, that's what's happening right now with City and with Liverpool. The same place, the midfield. The whole time, the world was just watching Real Madrid take all the top midfield players that are current, all the top midfield players that are going to be the future. Everyone just sat back and said, "Oh, whatever. We're going to take all the top strikers." And now look at them. City is going to struggle even worse next year than they are this year, because like I said, KDB is on his last legs. Let's be very honest. Rodri is looking uninspired, and they don't even. Who's the other center mid? Bernardo Silva is not a midfield player. I'm sorry, he's not a CM. He prefers to play on the wing, but he's not fast enough to consistently be there, right? And then Liverpool, even worse. I don't even know what Fabinho. Fabinho again. Fabinho is like KDB. They're on their last legs.
Yeah.
So and that's where Arsenal, when they got Partey, changed their whole trajectory. Because Saka is not that old. Yeah. And Saka's style of play, but remember, Saka's style of play is one that he will be able to be. He'll be fine going. In fact, Saka looks even fitter this year than he did the last year or 2 years ago. I looked at him, I was like, yo, I thought you were bigger, but you're like slim, you know. And that goes to show you that Arteta, a midfield player, and I'm surprised that Pep didn't piece this together. He understands what is needed. And if you look at Newcastle, the same thing. The midfield is secure. That's what the problem with City and Liverpool is, and this is not a problem that can be fixed easily because a lot of the midfield players have just signed recent contracts. So good luck to those two teams in the next couple of years.
But so just quickly to your point before we got to move it on to the Super Copa. But just quickly to add to your point, I think the problem. This is what happens when you manage a team for too long, right? Is you gain the trust of like that midfield, like City's midfield, right? Like the Bernardo Silvers, and it gives you a sense of comfort as a coach, and it's harder to feel like you need to change them, right? Because KDB, these guys have done so much for you, and they're not that old, right? They're like in their prime years. So I can see where Pep his emotions could get the best of him, where he's focusing on the strike force, and obviously the media is saying, "Oh, City needs a forward. City needs a forward." So I can see where that distraction can happen, where he feels like, you know what, his midfield is covered because they've had his back for this long and whatsoever. So I can definitely see that. That's obviously Arsenal. Arteta was trying to hold on to his job for a very long time. Let's not pretend like Arteta has had the answers for the last 4 seasons, right? It's work in progress.
No one is saying that.
The way he looks at his midfield is going to be different from the way Pep will look at his midfield. Klopp has no excuse. I think Klopp should have known that from last season when he noticed that Thiago is basically lives in the emergency unit. You know, he should have realized that Henderson is too old. Like, you're still playing James Milner. You know what I mean? These are the things Arthur, the new sign, I mean, the kid from the academy, he's also injury prone. So Liverpool should have seen this from, you know, how many years ago. But I can understand the City scenario. And the last thing I wanted to say too was, you know, it's very key. Like, impact is huge, like you said, with Jesus. Sometimes it's not about Jesus scoring goals. It's what he gives to the team. You know, like you know, when Jesus is on the field, now you need 2 sets of eyes on him versus 1, right? It's those little things. Same with Haaland. Haaland now, you know, when City plays, you need 3 players on Haaland versus maybe 1 player on Sterling, right? So I definitely, it's about that impact. And that's what I try to explain to United fans is because a striker is not scoring doesn't mean that they're not adding to the team. You have to look at it from a holistic point of view. You know, it's not just about scoring goals. Strikers do a lot more in today's game. So, but yeah, let's move it to the Super Copa. So obviously Barcelona wins this 3-1 was the score line. Yeah, 3-1 was the score line.
It felt like 5-0, but yes, continue.
Yeah, because it looked like from the first minute of the game, Barcelona was basically the one doing a lot of the attacking. So yeah, I guess Eve, the floor is yours to. Yeah, so are you celebrating this win, or do you just see it as another? It's just a cup.